Hey, it's Max, the original Flowgrammer, and this is the Studio Update, the show about AI, automation, and the people building it. In this episode, I got a great chat with Alex Honchar, the founder of Neurons Labs. We zoom out from the usual use case interview and talk about what he's seeing on the ground as an AI consultancy. And we also have a think about how to get prepared for a post-AGI world. I've also got an update on the auto-tagging support tickets with AI project that I'm working on with N8N's support team. Let's set the scene with some studio project updates. Where are we with the auto tag support tickets with AI project? So as a quick recap, N8N support team uses Zamad. It's a help desk system like Zendesk. New tickets come in and they've got to tag them. Right now they're doing that manually. N8N's growing quickly. We're getting hundreds and hundreds of new users a day. And so we need to help them save time. And we're picking this use case because it's not mission critical. So we roll that out, test that out, can deploy that and basically set them up so they can start adding their own automations on top and solve their own problems. So far, I've got a proof of concept working, and funnily enough, the first thing we tried to do is use examples of previous messages. Now, there were quite a few issues with that, and the main issues were basically it didn't work as good as just providing descriptions. So what we've done instead right now is written descriptions for each tag. AI actually helped with that, so we created some kind of semi-good descriptions. AI fleshed those out, and so far, I've got a little evaluation framework I built out in a workbook that's testing it. This is so funny. It's like me and parents of babies right now out the park. Dad's mostly actually. I guess it's dad duty though. Anyways, there's a few interesting realizations because at first what was happening, I was only having one perfect success, a few partial successes and a lot of failures. But really interesting thing is how you define a failure. So the first thing was, we don't have all the descriptions of all the tags yet. I'm working with a base of 10 right now. Some of them were failing because we were piping in tickets that the system didn't know the tag of yet, right? So the good news is it's not hallucinating. So far in the last days of testing, it's not ever coming up with fake tickets, but either comes up with no tickets or tickets from the list. So that's good because we can add some more descriptions. In testing, we realized that some of the human tagged tickets can't always be trusted. There's subjectivity in those as well. We were looking at one case where we were like, oh no, the AI got it wrong. And then we're looking at the actual ticket itself and we decided actually probably the human that did this could have gotten it wrong or been subjective to it. So it's actually very interesting because we're going to be onboarding a lot more support people. And imagine with each tag that we add, someone kind of has to mentally think of 20, 30, 40 cases to consider each time they answer a ticket. And the job is to answer tickets quickly, of course, because it's just like a crap load of tickets coming in, right? Because you guys are all making it happen, right? So thank you, by the way. That's obviously all our job is to grow this thing. Each time it runs, it's going to leave a message in the thread in Zamad and say, hey, basically this automation run, here's the execution ID of the automation in case they want to go check that out. Here's the tags that it added. And so we'll let them run that for about a week, see how it goes, and identify which tags it's not performing very well on and see if we can improve the descriptions for those tags. So what I plan to do there is then something like billing might only have a 2-sentence description because it's a pretty easy case to classify by, but something more proprietary, specific, niche to N8N, we might have a longer description and 2 examples. So that way we kind of balance not blowing up the context window. Because one thing that happens, one thing I've noticed is if you pipe in far too much context, the AI could also get confused. So having 3 long examples and a massive description for each tag doesn't make sense. So again, one adage I'm seeing all the time in AI is like, it's not necessarily that less is more because being verbose can be good, but it's about start with less and add, test if it's working and then add. Because if you start with a lot, it takes a lot more time to figure out what's working, what's actually moving the needle. And I found that in my project, I probably wasted 3 days to working with these examples where I should have just tried with the description first, would have been a lot faster and actually is working better now. By the end of this week, by the time you're seeing this video, this should be up on an instance because I have it just running locally with a local LLM model. It's very interesting actually. So I'm playing around with some 32B models, Quen 2.5s working pretty well right now. There's also, IBM has one called something Granite. What's it called? Granite Guardian 3. It was okay. And then some Sky something, 32B. But anyways, this is all gonna be in a long form video on that project. And then I'll meet up with them the week after next, check in on that and see how I can basically assist them and maybe tweak the workflow, add some more context, but get it in a way to where they can, day on day, be improving these examples, owning the workflow. So personally, so that I don't get pinged as well, but so again, so that they can own the solution. Because I think the thing that I love about N8N is how much you can hand off to people. And again, with sub workflows and stuff, you don't have to hand off everything to them. You can expose what you want to your users, the consumers of the automation, but they know how to solve their problems a lot better, right? Like if they add a new tag, for example, and they know that it's failing in this specific case, they're gonna much faster than me identify what that case is, identify how to describe that case in 2 sentences, cases and slap it in there. On average, that is, right? So again, the knowledge worker with the problem, I very much like to have them close to the prompting, even if they're not the ones owning it. Them having a say in it so far, and everyone I talk to just leads to better results. And boy, does it smell like manure out here. Okay, there's a whole big steaming pile of it right there. What's next, party people? So there was some pains around self-hosting this, particularly around the LLM models. So I used n8n self-hosted AI starter kit. It basically makes it super easy to stand up in Docker, Ollama, n8n, Quadrant, and Postgres. All the basics you need to stand up a lot of these AI use cases. Now, I was first starting, even with a 3 or 7B model, it was painfully slow. And I was a bit embarrassed. I was like, hey, n8n team, like I have a 64 gigabyte RAM, Mac Pro, whatever. What gives? And it turns out, if you're gonna run on CPU, which is the case if you're running on Apple Silicon, you gotta run Ollama natively, not in Docker, and then have your Docker stuff like n8n be able to reach out to your computer outside of its Docker container to communicate. I did that and it was like 10, 15, 20 times faster. Still a bit slow, right? Not something we're gonna have for production use case, but not taking me 10 minutes to click a run, go get a coffee, come back. If you're looking at the self-hosted AI starter kit, in the README, there should be a screen right now, there is like a little note about doing that. I use ChatGPT to help myself, but just the key word to remember is that you want Ollama to run on your computer and your Docker to be able to reach outside of your Docker container to communicate with it. And then it was good to go. I was able to download any kind of model I want there, actually run it pretty quickly, pretty well. Other than for the German internet, of course, took like 20 minutes to download a model. So yeah, on that project, next week, we're going to take a pause on that, let the support team run that for a bit, and then do a follow-up and then the week afterwards. And hopefully it'll be the point where it's a great working solution, lots of learnings to share, and I'll release a mini documentary on that whole project and release some templates that are very similar to what we did. So you can basically deploy that for yourself. And again, it's for support ticket tagging, but since it's classify incoming message based on a description list, etc., as you guys know, with a little bit of creativity, you can apply that to lots of different kind of stuff, of course. And on that project so far, fine-tuning doesn't seem like it's going to be a good fit because the team does want to be able to change those tags more frequently than we were expecting. But nonetheless, I'm very excited about fine-tuning. Again, I've been chatting to some folks that have been teaching me some stuff on it. So once that's all wrapped up, we're going to get into fine-tuning. And I think I'm going to try and like fine-tune a Gmail model. It's basically trained on my previous messages, something I wouldn't want to send to big AI, but something I'm happy to train locally, and deploy a small local model that I could have generating email drafts that I can still as a human go in and tweak. And I think that's really relatable because we all got inboxes. Probably most of us don't want to send our personal emails to big AI. And if you're watching this, you're probably big nerds. So probably pretty interesting to you. All right, what's next? And before this next bit, this is a quick public service announcement for my own mental health. I've done one of these before, but guys, my DMs is not tech support, okay? If you want to buy an enterprise license, go to our website, contact sales. I don't have a fast pass there. You're going to have to talk to our sales team. If you're stuck on a bug, I'm probably the worst person to help you. My inbox is hell right now because of all you lovely people. Thank you. But then what I'm doing most of the time is copying and pasting that message and asking the team, which then obviously is super inefficient. And we don't like that as an automation company. If you have questions, feature ideas, you're looking for an n8n freelancer, any of that kind of stuff, go to community.n8n.io. But we also got a bunch of the n8n team in there and like hundreds of n8n community members who are developers and professional automation consultants who are all in there helping you for free, basically, because that's just the kind of community we are. I don't know, it's a kind of thrill when you see someone ask a nice, thoughtful question respectfully that has good context. If you write, my credential no work with no other context, like, imagine if you got a ticket like that, you probably snooze that one too, go, oh, what the f? So don't do that. All right. PSA over. Version 1.77 of n8n hit this week. And it's one of these versions where there was just like a bunch of cool little and medium-sized things in there. For example, the DeepSeek native node is out. But do watch out, everyone, because I just heard today that DeepSeek leaked like 1 million API keys of their users and something on an unsecured hard drive. So like, if you use it, perhaps self-host it.
A few moments.
Next, I had a really insightful chat with Alex Honchar. As you know, if you've watched the show, I really like talking with active builders in AI because the thing is, when you got a lot of interest in the space, a lot of kind of sycophantic influencers, so to speak, being honest, the more I learn about AI, like people hit me up as an expert. Guys, I'm a wide-eyed learner. I think compared to the average, I do know quite a bit now, but I'm still learning. There's a lot of BS out there. I don't know. I'll read someone's suggestion. I'm like, from the last 50 hours of LLM prompt writing that I did, that makes no fucking sense. But yeah, anyway, so on that note, I had a chat with Alex Honchar. And in this one, we tried something a little different. We zoomed out from a specific n8n use case And we talked about the kinds of things that he's seeing from clients, the kinds of requests he's seeing, some suggestions if you're looking to get into automation or AI consulting. I think there's a lot of people thinking of going out on their own, especially when you have the likes of Sam Altman saying, hey, there's going to be a $1 billion unicorn. Perhaps you won't be a $1 billion unicorn, but you can probably do a lot more with a lot less these days if you know what you're doing with AI. So I'm sure a lot of us are thinking about it. So we talk about how to approach AI in 2025, ideas on how to bring it into your organization, and what the hell to do once AGI comes if you're a knowledge worker. So on that note, watch this next bit carefully. Hey, Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey, Max, good to see you.
Alex, could you give us a little intro?
Sure. I'm co-founder of Neurons Labs, AI consultancy. Basically, my whole career, I work in AI. I did, I think, everything from teaching, researching, papers, coding, building companies. So I'm here continuing this work.
That's very cool. I think there's a lot of people joining the AI space now, which is great. Obviously, the industry's growing, but it's always nice to talk with some veterans. How did you get into AI and what did that look like? Just to kind of set the stage.
It's a funny story because I was studying at university and I was studying mathematics. And not because I was good in mathematics, because I thought, okay, it's kind of abstract enough field to study, so I can study anything else. I wasn't really good at it. As it turned out, studying mathematics is kind of hard. So to find motivation was looking what actually applied mathematicians are doing, basically applied fields. And that's how I found computer vision. And that's how I found machine learning. And obviously it sparked my interest because, okay, this is where the matrices, calculus, the optimization, that's where it's working. That was the very beginning.
I got barely out alive with a C+ in discrete math, so I definitely know what you're talking about. But it's when you see it being applied to things that you can do with that for a lot of people can increase that motivation. I think we're seeing that with AI today. I think a lot of people are learning concepts they wouldn't have thought they'd be getting into a few years ago because of that. And then most recently, so you're consulting and advising customers on building AI today. It's one of the reasons I want to speak with you today. Again, I think the folks in the trenches have a lot of good insights. Can you give a little context on what you're doing right now, just to frame the conversation?
So basically, as most probably you know, and listeners maybe have a guess that AI was evolving over last years. And if, for example, at the very beginning of the company, you were saying, oh, look, we are the smartest guys in AI, machine learning, we have PhDs, etc. Obviously, right now, it's much more about change management, integration, and let's say less about research and mathematics. So currently our focus is at actually integrating sometimes ready, sometimes custom AI solutions to the customer businesses, and actually to help them to do the change management, both from the strategy perspective, so the leadership is aligned, and also bottom up, teaching and empowering individual employees to actually use the tools, regardless if it's ChatGPT or some custom crazy tool, but to use it properly, correctly, and get the benefits.
If you look at sort of, I guess, the last 12 months for your consulting work, what are the use case themes that you see folks coming to you for, or that you ultimately arrive at from discovery?
Again, it might be really biased because every company has their own market access. We see a lot of interest kind of like on the two distinct sides of the road. One is anything related to the customer interactions. Basically, it can be as simple as customer support, chatbot, call center, can be some kind of personalization in the e-commerces or any kind of marketplaces, basically digital experience, personalization, calls, and really deep back office processes, especially in documents processing. Again, that's where what we see when there's a lot of interest. In the last maybe couple of months, also people see it as some kind of agentic experience. So it's not just about even Copilot. Okay, I have a tool that helps me to do something. The expectations now actually switching from augmentation, which maybe was the word of the last year, to automation.
And are you seeing, folks deploying full agents? I see a lot of folks talking about AI agents, and I'm probably guilty of this sometimes too, and it's more of an agentic workflow with a lot of human in the loop and a lot of sort of checks and balances. Are you seeing sort of fully autonomous agents being deployed, or is it sort of more so of the hybrid at this stage?
Actually, for example, even I'm kind of like technical guy by my background, I don't mind mixing terms because again, I think when technical guys trying to create, all the right taxonomy of terms, it actually makes things even harder. Actually, I don't care if it's true AI agent or agentic workflow or in half role-based system. If it does automate the work and reduces human involvement, I don't care how you call it. And many technical guys might not like me for saying this, but which will also overcomplicate things. Dive into details, you're right. Often it is agentic workflow. So it's not really some orchestrating agents that autonomously defines everything. We still need to basically define, even talk about customer support. It works much better when you let a human, a designer, to design the stages. To design almost like a set of states where this agent can be. Yeah, you can say it's not fully automated, it involves a human. Okay. If it does speed up the work, that's good. The same about actual involvement in the operations. It's always good to have a switch, even like a one state classifier that already can predict, is this the question, the call that requested an agent, agentic workflow, whatever, can answer by itself? Or this is something unseen, uncommon, maybe emotional, that you better give to the human. You can reduce humans like 70, 80, 90%. And that's just a rare.
I think that's a really sober way to look at this, because you see a lot of discourse about people talking about some frontier model and whether it's achieved AGI yet or not. But that's not really tied to, do we have technology we can leverage today that can solve, thousands and tens of thousands of hours of work? And I'm curious, if you were talking to a small business owner or someone, let's say in the ops team, who's looking to upskill on AI in 2025, so they want to learn some of their own skills, what advice would you give them? Where would you tell them to focus?
So I want to bring a couple of mental models. One, maybe you, Max, know, and readers who of the venture company blog called NFX. I think a while ago, they found like a 5-level AI spectrum. Basically, how you can make yourself an AI company starting from a baseline that every employee of the company uses ChatGPT or some kind of AI tool, to the kind of end of the spectrum, you become an open AI in your niche, right? So basically, when we talk about how to use AI to small companies, it's a spectrum. And it's okay to choose your place. So I would say my answer would be, if you talk about the company or say a small, medium business who actually doesn't do anything with AI, I think it's good and okay approach to start with the level 1. Basically, get one department, 5-10 people, and they all use one AI tool of choice. It can be chatbots, it can be a marketing tool, can be video generation, right, depending on the department. It can be like basically small agentic automation of some like emails, documents flow, SDR work. If it's engineering, actually make sure that all of the engineers use any kind of copilot. Not every engineer still uses copilot, Cursor, whatever it is. So I'd say this would be the very first step at the bare basis. To level up it a little bit, what we're doing at our company, we're running small hackathon, both for technical and non-technical teams. And with tools like N8N and other automation tools, actually even like guys in sales, HR, operations, they can take a constructor and build a small automation themselves. I find also really important where everyone has skin in the game. It's like, so it's not like the management is coming, buying your subscriptions, and now you use ChatGPT. No, it's like we can get together on a hackathon, find the tool, choose the tool, buy this easy subscription, and actually try to do it yourself. Not because your manager told you so, but because you actually said, okay, I'm working with the emails, I did the research, I found this tool, I want to buy it because it makes my work better.
So it sounds like if you are at an SMB or, a small organization and you're competent with GPT and you want to take the next step, that perhaps organizing a hackathon and trying to have the knowledge workers who have the problem solve their own problems is a good first step to kind of explore that and see what's possible.
Yeah, and also want to give a credit. It's not, my idea. I learned it from actually one of our clients. It's a Spanish startup, Penpot, and they run it at their company every half a year. I think it's a great idea, great initiative to keep people up to speed and give them like a freedom to experiment, to choose. And I like this approach a lot.
Yeah, it's actually something that we do at N8N as well with our team. It's also a model I'm seeing be very effective. Can you share any tips on getting buy-in from decision makers at an organization when you're trying to enact that change? So let's take a situation, maybe you're someone in ops, you really see there's some pain points that you could solve, and you're trying to get your head of ops, let's say, to say yes to a proof of concept.
Honestly, I think proof of concepts are not going to make it anymore. Because again, by definition, POC, it's something like just to prove that it's possible, right? That you already know it's possible. There are a lot of tutorials, a lot of YouTubes, and actually many clients already said we don't need a POC. Actually, I think not what I think, what I see is to get a buy-in, you need to demonstrate integration and result. I think talking about POCs right now, it's a bit like outdated. What they want to prove is like, it's obvious that AI can read the emails. You don't need to prove it. Okay, actually show me. Show me that on your personal email is your personal account. Okay, don't connect to the company. That there can be some agent that can take the emails and then we put them to HubSpot or Salesforce, whatever CRM we use. It's like that's what can get the buy-in, and of course the ROI. I think first of all, not POCs, only MVPs with integration, and second, think about the ROI. Okay, so you have to be able to demonstrate maybe recording your screen, maybe some other kind of analytics that maybe some companies they use the time tracking, but you need to demonstrate by numbers. Our employees spend on average 2.3 hours in the email client every day. You want to reduce it to 5 minutes per day. And this is my MVP with my personal account, how I implemented some workflow that takes my emails and pushes them to the CRM. That's basically how we get the buy-in.
It's like, it's similar in the framing of what it is, but the little nuance, I think, that really makes an impact.
And many people say, oh, it's like, I cannot do it with my company data because I have this policy. Go to Google Gmail, create a free account, make some synthetic emails, create a free account on the CRM, and just run it. It's like, sometimes the blockers are like coming, I'm sorry to say, from the closed-mindedness, like people a bit like used to living like in this organizational limits. Okay, you can't use your email, create a new email. Create 5 synthetic emails just to demonstrate it's working. No one can forbid you to do this.
As someone, I'm in DevRel, I'm creating use cases all the time. Guys, if you ever need data, AI is good at synthetic data. You don't need a fancy prompt. Even a half-assed prompt is creating some pretty good results.
100%.
Alex, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this because you run a successful AI consultancy. I can imagine a lot of folks, be it if they're in an agency today or looking to get into this kind of consulting, what would you want them to hear as advice? What would you want to know when you were getting into this? And what should they be thinking about in 2025 if they're trying to sort of move in this direction?
I have to ask one question to specify. Are you talking about the folks who want to go solo, basically to be like solopreneurs and public builders, or they want to build organization? Because I did both. And my work as a solo freelancer and building the company, it has similarities, but also it's very different.
Let's start off with that solo entrepreneur, because I think, again, you have Sam Altman saying we're going to see a unicorn solo company. I think with the tooling, the idea of a solo entrepreneur doing a lot more value is possible. So let's talk about that case first.
What I see, and again, also basically most of my career, I was never formally employed. So I never had a like real employment experience. And what really helps in this, number one, what many people who already used to work in corporate or for even for a startup organization, is you need to be able really comfortable with taking risks and having skin in the game. You cannot go and sell to a client as let's say solopreneur, one person company, and asking for the salary or you spending time. You have to be able to sell the result of your work. And for example, what I did when I was starting, I was saying to the clients, look, if I don't deliver, you don't pay me. No, it's kind of like a risk. I mean, I'm not saying I'm keep doing the same now when I also build a company, but this also gives you completely different risk perception. And also the clients are more eager to work with you because they have no risk. So basically I would say there are many guys who are obviously really good in technology, maybe even good in sales, much better than me or whatever. But there are many people who are not comfortable with taking the risk. The skills is different from the attitude. And you just need to practice taking risks. It can be small, you don't have to quit your job. But if you, for example, if you can in the evenings get such contracts and deliver them for the fixed price, which is basically risk-free for the client, I think you'll be good to go.
I think it's some really solid advice. And I think also highlights that it's not just in the technology, there's a lot of soft skills.
And there are actually many people who are really talented both in technology and sales, but they're not comfortable with the risk.
Interesting.
They can be great executives and startups and big companies, but they just cannot go solo or start their own company again. And I know, but I'm not, there are many people and always around me, there are people who are better than me in technology. There are always around me people who are better than me in communication and sales. I'm okay, I'm not bad, but I always see people better than me. But I think what I do differently, have much more comfortable with taking risks.
Thank you for that insight. I really want to thank you so much for your time. Before we wrap up, is there anything you wish I'd asked you?
Actually, I think what you should have asked me, and I think this is the question in the air, is when AGI is coming and what we all are going to do in the AGI era. All are smart guys who do with the automations, technology, when there is the agent who does agents. That's, I think, the question in the air.
That is a very good question. I'm sure it's in the subconscious of a lot of us technical folks. So Alex, what's your take on that?
Again, I think one of my kind of like metas and mindsets is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. It's also associated to the risk taken. And I think what can be the worst case scenario that we should prepare for is that all the work that can be done on the computer will be automated. Not augmented, but automated. Again, this is the worst case scenario. So which means that the work that is done outside of computer, basically, meeting people, selling, building relationships, but also, by the way, taking risks, because taking risk is also like a bit more like a meta skill. Political or quasi-political things that anyway, it's like you can boil it down to their relationships. This is what stays outside of computer. This is what I think we still will be able to do in one or another way. I'm worried about social mobility because right now we rely on our talent, grit, skills, knowledge to move up and down the social ladder. When this will be automated, this will be weird because the way society we know right now, like last couple of 100 years, basically from the Renaissance till now, the concept of social mobility exists. Our freedoms are higher and higher and higher. I'm afraid that this can just go away. But still, basically, the work, just repeating myself, work outside of computer, basically negotiation, sales, relationships, some kind of politics, risk-taking strategy, most probably, I hope we still can do it. And I hope that I'll be able to do it as well.
So it sounds like those soft skills might become more and more valuable as the computers can handle things like, it's not just knock out a code, like a code function, right?
Right. Worst case scenario. Again, I'm not confident this will be the case, but I think if you can bet on this, it's kind of like eternal advice to live among the humans. This is what you would just have to do. Again, I'm not talking about a world when you even cannot do anything for humans, right? I think that then everything we discussed doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Well, thanks for that hot take, Alex. I see that you're posting online sometimes some of your sort of learnings and insights as you go. If people want to hear more about your thoughts and thinkings and experience, where can they do that?
I'm mostly active on X and LinkedIn. They're partially intersecting, but on X, I post a bit more things, just a bit more like random stuff, some like links that I read. But LinkedIn, I just post a bit more like longer things.
There's going to be a link somewhere here above or
Somewhere.
below
Yeah.
as you're watching. Great. Well, Alex, thanks so much and look forward to chatting with you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. Good to talk to you.
Likewise. Hey, thanks so much, Alex. Best part of this job is talking with all these really intelligent people who happen to give me time of day because of events. So thanks for the email. Really appreciate it, Luis. And yeah, let me know if you like these kinds of high-level interviews. Different from the use cases I've been doing. I'm going to always try new stuff. So yeah, when you see something new, just let me know if you like it. If you say, nah, we don't do it again. If you say, yeah, we do it more. Well, I'm not going to say it's a democracy because I definitely decide. It's more like a benevolent dictatorship where if I don't keep you guys happy, you decapitate me by not watching my videos anymore. So hopefully that's incentive enough for me to make the right call. Where are we? All right, gang, that is a wrap for this week. But I'm cooking up something extra special for next week. The hint is it's 6,200 kilometers away, and I'm gonna solve a big problem that I have with another flowgrammer who's already been on the show. This is only the 8th episode, so there's only so many people could be. Curious if anyone figures this out. But yeah, the slow-mos are gonna be awesome. And then this is a segue that on an operational note, we paid for a YouTube audit, right? So some smart people looked at our YouTube and was like, oh, no good, right? You're doing this wrong, you're doing that right, but you're mostly doing this wrong. And being honest, as much as I hate to say it, they basically said the studio update is no good. What I mean by that, they said YouTube videos need to be single theme, right? Like the title of this video should be man walks in park and what happens next. You get what I mean. So it's fair feedback. It's something I've been thinking about. Maybe it's me being 30 years old and having a nostalgia for TV shows. Yeah, so next week, as part of that special little project that I just hinted, we're gonna try releasing the segments that I do on their own. So it'll be more segments coming out more frequently. I'll still do a walk and talk intro and outro of them. For the longer videos like this special project next week, it'll be more of a mini documentary. So yeah, so we're gonna try that for a few weeks. But do you know, I'm monitoring your feedback. And unfortunately, guys, I really don't have the bandwidth to reply to every comment right now. I'm not gonna reply with AI. I think that's stupid, being honest. Like the whole point is to connect, right? And to share information, but I am reading them. And so if you guys really hate it, screw the algorithms. We'll go back to the weekly episode. And if you love it, we'll continue doing it. And if you hate it and the algorithms love it, probably Luis will decide. Yeah, whatever you do, keep watching. Like any good product, I'm always iterating. I'm always taking feedback and selectively taking the feedback that I like to improve. I'm Max, 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 Max. I'm Max. This is the studio update. Build something wild this weekend and happy flowgramming.